what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about something pretty rare that I don't really talk about on my channel that much. It's not really what my channel covers, but we do have some news about Harriet Tubman being officially put on the $20 bill. Well, I mean, the process, I should say, is being sped up a little bit more. At the end of President Barack Obama's administration, he had announced that this was going to happen. And then, of course, Donald Trump became president, and he basically slowed down the process until 2028. But now that Joe Biden is president, he's trying to speed up the process after Donald Trump delayed it. In terms of my opinion on this, I'm completely on board with it. This is one of the diversity type deals that I actually really like and am for. I am glad it's not my opinion hasn't changed on the original decision, because the original decision to put Harriet Tubman on a bill was supposed to be to replace Alexander Hamilton. And that's where I wouldn't have liked it. Because, for anybody who doesn't know, Alexander Hamilton never owned slaves. And to me is one of the more underappreciated founding fathers. A lot of people know about Alexander Hamilton. But he was never, unfortunately, a president because, he kind of died in a duel before he really got a chance to really run for president. There were times, I guess, he could have ran for president, but it was never really the definitive opportunity for him to run. But Hamilton was very, very much, he was a progressive for his time. And he was someone that actually, one, never owned slaves, unlike Mr. Andrew Jackson did. But number two, he actually kind of advocated more for African Americans to kind of fight in the Revolutionary War as well. So he's someone that I don't think should lose his bill. But I can't say the same for President Andrew Jackson. Now, for me, and this has been always my opinion on Andrew Jackson, he is the worst president in U.S. history, and that is including Donald Trump. It's kind of obvious. I know a lot of people, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say Donald Trump is the worst president in U.S. history, and while I would definitely say he's pretty up there as being one of the worst presidents in U.S. history, in my personal opinion, Andrew Jackson tops the list still. And it's really weird to think about it, because for his time, people actually liked this guy. But he has definitely aged as time has gone on. And we actually learned more about what he did. But the fact of the matter is, it's simple. Andrew Jackson, one, he was a racist. Two, he owned slaves. Three, he violated a Supreme Court ruling that would have given Native Americans their own state. Infamously, one of his famous quotes was, "The courts made their ruling, let's see them enforce it." Well, Andrew Jackson, you're going to have to haunt those words, because now we're taking away your $20 bill. And let's see you enforce that. And then, of course, most importantly, after he, did not enforce the Supreme Court's ruling, he forced Native Americans to relocate and go on the Trail of Tears, which killed millions of Native Americans, innocent Native Americans. So yeah, Andrew Jackson, not a great president. Much worse in my opinion than Donald Trump. Um, but again, Donald Trump isn't that far much off the food chains for my personal worst presidents of all time, by the way. Um, but I'm just saying that I think Andrew Jackson is the worst. So I absolutely agree with him losing his $20 bill, and I was happy at the time when Obama's administration made the announcement. I was disappointed when Donald Trump became president and delayed it. Um, Alexander Hamilton, again, was their original plan. Like I said earlier, thankfully they decided not to do that because, again, there's really no reason to take him off because, again, he definitely advocated for African Americans, and he also was someone who actually never owned any African Americans. So why would you take him off the bills? Um, Now, Harriet Tubman, obviously great accomplishments. Freed or helped free a lot of innocent people that were being enslaved. So right there definitely deserves some recognition. I would have loved to seen Martin Luther King on there, or even Frederick Douglass, because Frederick Douglass escaped and ended up becoming an elective official once he was freed. But I have no complaints about Harry Tubman, who again deserves just as much praise as the people I mentioned. Martin Luther King, I think it's mainly because he already has a federal holiday, and that's why they didn't put him on the bill. But I would love to have had him on the bill. But like I said, either three of those three, either one of them definitely deserves it. And those absolutely glad they're speeding up the process. Like I said, there are some. Like I said, again, it's subjective, but Andrew Jackson, there was nothing good about this guy, personally and politically. I know with Thomas Jefferson, he's kind of judged a little bit different now because we know a lot more about some of the stuff he did personally. Of course, Thomas Jefferson was a great president politically, but obviously personally, he did own slaves, a lot of slaves, and of course, that's terrible. Not making excuses for it. Obviously, there was the DNA testing that proved some stuff I can't really mention on here without being demonetized. But pretty much everyone should know the story about Sally Heming by now. So, yeah, that's the thing with Thomas Jefferson. But the thing with Jefferson, though, is he was politically still a great president. So, and really not many people. It's really hard to find the $2 bills anyways these days. They're rare. The $2 bills, like no one even has like a socket for that in the cash register. So a slot for that. So I don't think that's even really more of a controversial thing anyways. But Andrew Jackson, politically and personally, as president, he did terrible things. Personally, he obviously owned slaves. So the fact that he's been on the bill this long is insane in itself. So I'm really hoping that it can be changed as soon as possible. I know they're already kind of making drafts of what the new bill will look like with Harriet Tubman on there, and I don't think it can't be sooner enough. Andrew Jackson, Like I said earlier, he was the worst president, in my opinion. I mean, he did nothing, I thought, for the country that was significant. I mean, even when you review the history, like if you just review the simple U.S. history of what you're taught in school, there's no way you can really, justify what this guy did. Like, there really isn't. There's no, like, redeeming qualities that he did politically, where you can, like, say, oh, well, we still can keep him on here because look what he did politically, like a Thomas Jefferson, Louisiana Purchase and all that stuff, kind of expansion on our country. You can't really justify what he did as someone as president, because I think for his time what he was doing was oppressing people. He put people in the courts that were racist. Once he replaced Marshall, John Marshall, in the Supreme Court, he put a racist, guy in there, because he was the one who ruled in favor of the, infamous, Supreme Court ruling that allowed Native Americans to have their own state, which, as I said earlier, he blindly ignored that ruling. So, yeah, I mean, there's no real strong arguments to keep him on the 20. There isn't. There's nothing. So, why not? Get rid of him. I'm glad they're keeping Alexander Hamilton on the 10, because I think he deserves to be on the 10. There's no reason why he should be taken off. Again, he didn't own slaves, so why should he be removed? And he was a founding father. He advocated for African Americans in the Revolutionary War and recommended them in their, Andrew Jackson was the opposite. He got to be president, which, is unfortunate. Since Alexander Hamilton never got to be president because he never got a fair opportunity and unfortunately got killed before he got a chance to run. I'm happy with this decision. I mean, I got really no complaints. We're going to get the first woman on a dollar bill, which, I don't see an issue with that. Obviously, it doesn't matter if it's a non-president or not, because obviously Alexander Hamilton was never a president and Benjamin Franklin was never a president. So I have no issues with this. Like I said, I think the reason why especially Donald Trump kept him on the bill, or delayed him being removed from the bill, was mainly due to the fact that Andrew Jackson is essentially like Donald Trump, quite frankly. He just never got to get away with the stuff that Andrew Jackson got away with. Andrew Jackson, in my opinion, got away with way more stuff than Donald Trump did as president. And that's unfortunately because of the way our country was at the time. But nonetheless, I think this is a good thing. I think it's a good thing to remove him. I personally think he should have been removed a long time ago. This is one that I'm 100% behind. Don't support someone who basically oppresses people. And of course, in my opinion, he was the worst president in the history of the U.S., especially for an 8-year president. He was president for 8 years, which is the typical 2-term president. This is before the 22nd Amendment, after the Truman administration, because of FDR. But he only was president for 8 years. But there's nothing good about Andrew Jackson. Anything you look up about Andrew Jackson, I mean, it makes you not like him even more. I mean, I don't know how anyone can like him. Like, to be completely honest with you, even if you're like a Republican, I don't know how you could like this guy, you know. Yes, he was a Democrat, but the Democratic ideology is not the same as it was back then as it is today. Before someone argues that point, Republican Party didn't even exist when Andrew Jackson was president. So I mean, that's really not even an argument. But again, it's not really a political issue in terms of what the current political spectrum is today, because again, Democrats and Republicans, or ideology, are different. Back in his day, it was the Democrats and the Whigs, and he was the old school Democratic ideology, which was terrible, by the way. So I don't even think that really matters when someone uses that argument, because again, the political spectrums were completely different back then than they are today. But I mean, this is the right thing to do. I don't know how anyone could want to keep this guy on. I don't know how anyone would want to keep him on. I mean, he was a terrible human being. I mean, he was a product of his time for sure, but not in a good way. That's for damn sure. So that's my take on it. I think this is good news. I think this is one of the things that I'm happy that the Biden administration is doing. I don't know necessarily about other stuff that the Biden administration is going to do. I'm still kind of worried about some of the stuff that they might be planning soon. I'm not a fan of the current two-party system, as everyone knows. So you guys already know my take on this. But this is something I am very happy that Joe Biden is doing. I don't know what else Joe Biden plans on doing, but this one I'm definitely happy for. And hopefully we'll see more good things from Biden's administration. It'll definitely be much more of a step up from Trump's administration, because Trump's administration was terrible. But we'll see. But this is definitely a step in the right direction, because again, this is one I definitely, absolutely 100% agree with. Let me know what you guys think about this. Like I said, I definitely think if you're taking someone off one of these bills, Andrew Jackson is the one to take it off of. All the other presidents and non-presidents that are on current bills, I absolutely think should stay on. Washington and Jefferson, say what you want to say, they did a lot for the country in terms of being Washington being a general, and obviously the reason why they won primarily in the Revolutionary War. And then of course Thomas Jefferson, founding father as well, obviously a good president as well. That's why he's on Mount Rushmore. Obviously Abraham Lincoln needs to stay on. He freed the slaves. Ulysses Grant, underrated president. A civil rights president that no one really talks about. That's for a different argument, for a different day. But he was my second favorite president behind Lincoln, for obvious reasons that no one really talks about. I highly recommend, by the way, you check out the 3-part series on Ulysses Grant on the History Channel, for anyone who doesn't know about Ulysses Grant, because he was definitely an underappreciated president that people need to really know more about. And then of course Benjamin Franklin, I think he should stay on the 100. Those are all those guys all deserve to stay on the bills. Andrew Jackson's the only one who I think should be taken off, and I'm okay with him going off. They're definitely taking the right person off the bill, and they're definitely putting on someone who definitely deserves it. She was someone who helped the helped people, get out of the the South and into the North, so they could be freed. With the underneath railroads. So very, very happy with them doing this. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for this news? I'm happy. I'm happy, quite frankly, that they'll have it tomorrow. Obviously, they won't have them printed for tomorrow, but if we can get Andrew Jackson off, he's really talked about more than he really should be. In his time, he thought of himself as a king, of course. They had famous political cartoons about that. So, very, very happy he's going to be taken off. And I hope you guys are happy about this too. I think this is one that I think most people should agree with. There's really no redeeming qualities on President Andrew Jackson. So, let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, if you like this video or my videos, please subscribe. And that's about it. I'm the SS Ultimate Goku. I'm out of it. Peace.